Hi everyone. What to do after 12th is often a big question and it's often confusing. This video is all about ACCA. ACCA is one of the best professional courses that is available in the finance and accounting educational sector. Today we have Mr. Prashant Shankar here with us, who is a qualified ACCA. He has worked in some of the big companies in finance sector such as JP Morgan and Chase, Goldman's and Ernst & Young. Today he'll clear all our doubts regarding ACCA. Hi sir, welcome.
Hello, thank you so much. Thank you for this lovely introduction.
Thank you sir. So to begin with sir, what is ACCA?
So, ACCA is a UK based professional accountancy qualification. The full form of ACCA is Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. So, basically, it has more than 100 years of experience that it started way back in 1909, and it has more than 500 members around all over the globe. There are more than 200,000 to 300,000 students who are learning ACCA, and it has captured a lot of traction very recently in the Indian market. So ACCA is nothing but a professional accountancy course where you will be learning about accounting, finance and audits, etc.
So what is the eligibility to do an ACCA?
So ACCA has multiple levels of eligibility. To begin with, ACCA can be done by someone who has completed 12th standard. So that's the common way to enter ACCA. But as well, if let's say you have, you have completed your graduation, even then someone who has completed a graduation, you can start with an ACCA. And right now, there is another stream or another parallel route which you can take up for ACCA is where you have completed your 10th standard as well. So what is the benefit if you do ACCA after 10th standard is that you start early. So the moment you start early, right, you will be able to finish early and you can start your qualification and start earning salary also early. So there is no specific criteria as an eligibility criteria. You can start as early as possible just after your 10th, that is even before you become major. And you can start after your 12th or graduation, etc. And for all of this, there are multiple routes in ACCA which you can take up.
Okay. So the student who has done science group after grade 10, is it possible for him or her to join ACCA?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a irony because I have got a lot of questions, or a lot of students have asked me this question. Sir, I'm from science background, can I start ACCA? You can start ACCA after your science graduation. It's just that you have to go through certain basics of commerce. Because someone who's gonna learn commerce just after science, for them it will be a little difficult. So there will be certain basics you will have to start from someone who has either completed your graduation, etc. So definitely you can start after science, and one benefit I see in science students is that they are very good in their analytics. So they have got a good analysis in their mind when they learn the science background, and applying that analysis for a course like ACCA is really good because they'll be able to understand the base, and as well as they will be able to understand the experienced financial aspects very quickly. Right? Yeah.
So if a student, if he has already did his BCom or if he has graduated MCom, are they exempted from any of the papers?
Yeah. Of course. So there are multiple exemption rules for ACCA. One of them is graduation, and that's a very common route because people tend to do ACCA after graduation. So if you are a graduate, then minimum you will get 4 paper exemption. But there are certain universities where you are given 6 paper exemption or 8 papers exemption depending upon the university and what all papers they are taught in the university. But it's better if you do ACCA along with graduation or just after you completed your 12th because you learn the basic. And definitely if you want to become or clear things quickly and you want to get a lot of knowledge, it's very important that you learn the basics first. And once you learn the basics, you will be able to easily scale up through the basics and to the advanced level quickly. So I did it that way where I started doing ACCA along with my graduation. That was in the second year or third year. I started it and I was able to finish it up or much faster than someone who have completed their graduation, because you have to wait for their 3 years to get completed and then only they will be able to start the ACCA program. There are other qualifications, as well provides exemptions for ACCA. To give you an example, MBA gives you certain amount of exemptions of 4 to 5 papers. If you are a CA, and CA IPCC will give you 6 paper of exemption. CA final person who has not completed CA but as well just passed the individual papers of CA, they can also get certain amount of exemptions. They can get 9 paper exemption depending upon which papers they have cleared. So if those papers, specific papers they have cleared, then they will be able to claim those papers exemption in ACCA itself. So they don't have to be a chartered accountant per se, but they just need to score more than 40 or 50 in the individual papers of CA to claim those exemption in ACCA. Okay. So depending upon that, multiple courses like CMA India also has 7 to 8 years of 8 papers of exemption. CPA, likewise there are multiple papers, multiple qualifications which gives exemptions for ACCA. So there are multiple routes you can choose and multiple entries you can take in for ACCA depending upon what qualification you have completed.
So since you said about CA, can you tell us what is the difference between ACCA and Indian CA?
Absolutely. That's a very good question, Rosie, because I get a lot of questions from people or students who are either doing their CAs or who have completed CAs, or in fact commerce students who wants to go for CA or ACCA, who has those confusions in their mind. I believe that with answering this question they will get clarified about CA as well as ACCA. So CA and ACCA are different to each other from a perspective of a structure of the course, but the job that they do is same, right? So ACCA, a person who has completed ACCA and a person who has completed CA will end up in a similar kind of a job or in the same kind of an environment. So they could either be an accountant, or they could be an auditor, or they could work as a consultant, etc. So CAs will do the same thing as well as ACCA will do the same thing. Now when you look at from an exam point of view, what are the differences are that CA has 2 levels, IPCC and Inter, as well as there is foundation in CA for someone who have completed 12th. So CA is kind of like more of a kind of like a rigid structure. To give you an example, in CAs you have less amount of flexibility, where they need to clear all the papers within a group system. So even if they clear, let's say if there is a group with 5 papers and they clear only 4 papers, then they have to rewrite the group all over again. So with 1 paper you can lose the entire group or the CA qualification. But ACCA does not have that rigid system. ACCA is more flexible, where you can write the exams whenever you need it, right? And also as per your convenience you can write the exams, because in ACCA it's a paper based system. There is no group system. You don't have to combine the papers together to clear the group. Rather you can write it 1 paper at a time and you can clear the papers. CA also has a rigidness or lack of flexibility in the terms of the experience. So CAs have to go through a training of 3 years of articleship experience, and they have to work under a chartered accountant, and they need to get into a stipend, and they have to do that articleship for the 3 years time. ACCA also has a 3-year experience requirement, but it doesn't say that you need to work under a chartered accountant. It just says that you need to be you need to have a relevant experience, and you need to satisfy certain objectives. Where I give you an example, let's say tax filing or financial statements preparation, etc. So you need to have those objectives completed. At the same time, you need to work for 3 years, and you can work in corporates, you can work in industries, you can work in big 4 organizations, you can work under a chartered accountant, you can even work as a teacher or a lecturer, and you can claim 1 year of experience, etc. So it offers a lot of flexibility. And CA, when you have to do that articleship experience is after IPCC. So only after IPCC or after graduation, you can start with this particular experience. But ACCA doesn't say that. ACCA says that experience can be claimed even before your ACCA, while pursuing ACCA after the ACCA. So any of the time, if you have these 3 years experience and you are in relevant experience, and as well as you are claiming the objectives, as long as you are claiming the objectives, you can get the experience in your belt, and you can become a member as soon as you have completed this 3 years experience. But another thing that you will learn in ACCA is that ACCA is more scenario based. So they give you an actual scenario that actually happens around our world, and they ask questions based on the scenario. So it's not going to be a straightforward question where you learn the subject and you can apply it immediately. You need to apply the scenario questions from the scenario and answer it accordingly by comparing the scenario to your answers or to the concept. But CA more is less amount of practical based, and it's more like now they are becoming more practical based or scenario based. But they are more into the theoretical kind of a questions, or kind of a question that's comes up straightforward, etc. So ACCA, if you compare with CA and ACCA, which is better? Both has their own benefit. Let us say someone is doing and want to pursue their career in India itself and want to practice audit or tax and become a consultant in India, then their best option is CA, because CA will give them a specific practicing power in India. But ACCA, you can work anywhere. Like, it's valid in more than 180 countries. You can get membership of multiple countries, like in Australia you can get a CPA route. In Australia you will get exempted in ICAEW, that is England and Wales chartered accountants. You can work in Middle East, you can work in multiple countries. In UK specifically also you can work. And very recently, after COVID and after the Brexit, there are quite a lot of people who are going and joining in UK, and there is quite a lot of people who have moved to UK, etc. So it's a very good beneficial in that perspective. ACCA is definitely, but at the same time, there are companies who are outsourcing their finance audit department to India, and you can do work for foreign countries who have their base here and work remotely in India as well. So ACCA will definitely help you for that as well, because there are a lot of companies that's coming into IFRS, like International Financial Reporting Standards. That is what is tested in ACCA, whereas CA talks more of Indian AS, Indian Accounting Standards, and India GAAP, etc. So there are differences in the technical side, or the concept side. And if you want to stay in India and just want to practice, then CA. But because of the lack of flexibility and rigidity, and you want to start earning as quickly as possible, then you do ACCA, because you get to work very quickly and you will be able to clear the exams. Because CA, you don't have a promise, right? But ACCA, if you are focused, you will have a promise that you will clear it in 2 years or 2.5 years, depending upon the time. And as I said, the differences are into two categories, like the exam oriented base, or the pattern syllabus oriented base, and the practical base. So practical base, Indian C is more Indian oriented, but ACCA is more global oriented rather than focusing on one country. So you can work outside, then go for ACCA. Work in India or want to practice, do CA. But even now, work in India, you can do ACCA, because I am an ACCA and I have worked only in India. I have not gone outside itself. But I've worked in for companies like Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan in their finance department. So they don't care whether you are a CA or an ACCA, because the work that you do is the same after you complete the course, right?